Hey everybody, welcome to episode 9 of the A Dime Back Retrocast. I am Tyler, joined tonight by Megan Bard.
Hello.
And Russ Steinberg.
Hello.
And Kevin Meacham.
How's it going?
Good. And we have a special guest, UConn legend, former NBA player, current coach of Central Connecticut State University, Donyell Marshall. What's up, man?
Nothing much. How are you?
We're great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's watch UConn vs. St. John's 1994 Big East Tournament in 3, 2, 1.
Woof.
Yeah, problematic ad to start, but we'll jump past that. Oh, yeah.
Those are some aggressive glasses on Mike Easy.
Powerful 90s hair going on right now.
Took the regular season trophy. I'm not sure they have enough room to take all of the awards back.
Look at that.
Where is this banquet being held? Is this
It's in New York, at a hotel in New York.
I know now they do it at the Marriott in Times Square. I don't know if it was still there then.
Your suit aged better than his.
Them ugly trophies they gave me, and I've been to a couple of the recent ones, and they have some big, nice trophies now. They gave me them ugly plates.
Do you still have them?
My mom has all my stuff from like high school and college.
You should see if you could trade the ugly ones in for some better ones.
Yeah, upgrade.
Thinks he's trying to get rid of most of that stuff.
You gotta be careful. They're gonna start ending up back in your house, yeah.
Of the quarterfinals of the 1994 Big East Championship, and it features the 9th-seeded Redmen of St. John's against the top-seeded.
Was it just weird? Did they reference Mansfield Center, Connecticut?
They were advertising the local insurance agent.
All right.
Is the insurance agent of the game?
It's funny. I was looking up St. John's roster before this, and they have 3 guys who ended up playing in the NBA. None of whom I remember. Chanel Scott, James Scott, and Rashawn McLeod.
Nope.
Rashawn actually transferred from here after this year, I think. He went down. He transferred to Duke, I think.
That'll do it. He's a freshman on this team.
Yeah, so I think he left after either this year or the year after, and he went to Duke, and he got drafted from Duke, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, he played a second season at St. John's and then transferred.
Meach is our Jersey guy, so we go to him for all of our St. John's.
Rashawn McLeod, I think, was a St. Anthony guy.
Yeah.
Played for
for
Bob Hurley.
Yeah, I gotta confess right at the beginning here, I am 7 years old when this game happens, and I'm a St. John's fan at this point.
Wow.
So please
Shameful.
feel free to dunk on me.
Yeah, so we can just torch him the whole game.
I feel for you. The 3 games this year were a little personal for me.
Yeah, this is going to be a bad night for 7-year-old Meach.
Yeah.
I woke up, so I'm on the good side now.
Donyell, what was the feeling with St. John's at this point? Like, I feel like it wasn't really for a few more years that UConn St. John's was a little more heated of a rivalry. Did you guys hate them, or was it more indifference at this point?
I think for me personally, it wasn't. I don't think they were a rival to me at that point in time. I had personal stuff against St. John's. In between my freshman and sophomore year, myself and Rudy Johnson played for the Big East national team, and Coach Mahoney was the head coach for that team. And he had 2 of his St. John's players on that team as well. And then we had a couple other, players from the Big East on that team. And even though I was arguably it was after my freshman year, arguably one of the best players on the team, the coach kind of played his St. John's players over Rudy and myself a little bit more that summer. So when he got the job, it kind of came personal to let him know that summer he was playing the wrong guys.
I got to say, that story explains a lot about what's about to happen in this game.
Well, I mean, if you remember that year, I had 42, 29, 42. The game I had 29. The game I had 29 was the last home game of the regular season, and the only reason I had the flu that game. The only reason I even played that game was because Coach Calhoun said, if you're going to leave to go to the NBA, this is your last home game. You kind of owe it to the fans to play. So I ended up playing that game, and if you go back to that game, I actually had a T-shirt on that game because I had the flu.
And that's the game everyone knows as the flu game.
The flu game.
It is.
It's the
Famously.
only flu game I know of.
Now, did 5 St. John's fans deliver you a pizza the night before that game?
No pizza that night.
We watched I think the first one of these we watched a regular season game earlier this year against Syracuse, which was also fun.
Syracuse was always good battles, obviously because that's where I was going to go. I think for them it was to me for ended up not going there, but they were always good battles. We split with them all 3 of my years.
This is like my favorite. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, number 1 and 2. Here we go. This is my favorite era, I think, of UConn offense to watch because the first pass on every possession goes like 30 feet up the floor.
We were in great shape. For all you guys that went to UConn, the Cemetery Hill. That was our conditioning. Whenever that was on the board, we knew it was going to be trouble that day. And, but we were in shape. We knew if teams were bigger and stronger than us that we would just wear them out because we were in great shape. And, we did drills to get the ball off the rim and just push it. We were a very good running team that year.
How much of that do you take into conditioning with your current guys?
You know what? It's it's harder now. There's a lot of rules of how many hours of conditioning you can do. What you can do. Just because a lot of people have passed away from conditioning drills and stuff since then.
Right.
Not only in basketball but in all kinds of sports. So it's kind of hard to do the conditioning nowadays that we used to do back when I played.
They look very organized, don't they?
Go KO. Gotta make that.
They're getting terrific looks.
If you talk about like how we ran too, you can always tell the difference of when Kevin had the ball compared to when Deron Shepard had the ball. When Kevin had it, it was just for how fast he was. It was basically sprint down the court, get your lanes because he was pushing it to the rim and getting into the paint and make something happen. Where when Deron Shepard had it, it was just basically just go because he was going to make the long pass over top of the defense if you were behind him. So you can always tell the different style of running we had by who had the ball between Kevin and Deron.
Yeah, it helps having you and Donnie who can catch the ball on a 50-foot pass down the floor too.
Yeah. Is this a game? This is a game where I double dribble, right? Where after I throw it ahead to Donnie, I get a rebound or whatever.
Oh,
I
yeah.
throw it ahead to Donnie and double dribble.
Hey, it's only a double dribble if they call it, right? Is that this game? I know exactly the play you're talking about, but I didn't remember
I think
it was
it is
this
this
game.
game. I think because somebody just posted it last week.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that is, but I'm looking
no, I
forward
don't know that.
Yeah, you'll see.
Yeah.
Oh,
I want the step-by-step
That was pretty.
breakdown.
I love Sheffer.
Whether it's the pass, the lead to the goal, or the little kiss in traffic.
That defense.
Been around a little bit too. When you think playing these.
The
Donyell,
good
you
thing
think?
about our press was because we usually when you do a 2-2-1, your guards are up top, your forwards are in the second line, your centers in the back. But because we were also versatile, it didn't matter who was on the first line, who was on the second line. Basically, because if we got out and scored and I led the break and I got a dunk pass break, I could turn around and get in the front line and say Kevin would take the second line. I think that's what made our press so good that anybody, and all four of us could play any of the four of those positions and not lose anything.
Numbers favor the
Yeah.
Whoa.
There you go. Burn that foul.
Okay,
There
come
you
on.
going. Relax.
Very upset.
Just typical St. John's right there.
Relax.
All three of our games, him and Donnie kind of got into it. I think that was like his claim to fame of, hard worker, doesn't take that and whatever. We used to laugh at him.
Ooh.
He earned that foul.
That's just a hard. That's a hard foul. That's fine.
That's a Big East foul.
Come on.
Yeah.
He just exploded when he got up.
Something about being charged up for a game, John.
Wow.
Not seeing a lot of red in the crowd for this being a
For a game in St. John's.
For a home game?
Home arena.
in their home.
It sounds really loud.
Hold on to the backboard on this free throw.
I guess we'll spoil
It was loud. I mean, you guys been to the Big East tournament, so I mean, you Connecticut fans traveled well. It was always loud there, and then, with us being the number 1 seed, even though we got upset by Providence the next game, with us being the number 1 seed, I think a lot of people expected us to win it. So, we had a big time fan following down there that year.
One of my favorite random Big East things is, so obviously you set the Big East tournament scoring record against St. John's in MSG in this game. And the previous record was Dana Barros, who also set it against St. John's at MSG.
I'm surprised that I actually still have it. With all the great scores that came by after that, I'm surprised that I still have it.
We were trying to research it today, and yeah.
I think McDermott came close to it. I think he had 26 in the first half of their game, and he came. I think he ended up with 38, 39 or something like that, but he came close to it.
Good foul shooter, 75% on the year.
Anybody else ever get 40, Tyler?
I don't know. I knew Donyell had the record, so I was just trying to figure out what the current record was, and I couldn't even find verification of it. I just happened to know it, so I was just looking to see if there had been any stories written in the last 26 years about somebody breaking it. Couldn't find any. I was like, well, I guess it still stands.
Does he know how good he can become, Donyell Marshall?
Donyell, did you know how good you could become?
Actually, no. I was always a player I wouldn't say always, I'm sure you've heard the story my freshman year, really not having that much confidence. Even though I was an All-American, coming from where I'm from in Pennsylvania, our conference is really not that good. I just felt with being 6'9" that I was expected to do a lot of those things. Wasn't really until I went down and started playing the schools in Philadelphia and still doing the same things that I, got my confidence and stuff. And, first week in practice in the Big East, getting beat up by Scott Burrell and Rod Sellers and all that kind of took my confidence away again. But then, as the freshman year gradually started going, I started getting better and better. And then sophomore year, better. And then junior year playing for the USA national team, playing with those guys who were already projected high lottery picks and being the leading scorer of that team, I think is when it really took off.
Turned out to be in the Huskies' favor, thanks to the technical. They got the 2 in the ball and added 2 more.
Did you ever look back at sort of the timing of your career, especially your NBA career, and just marvel at how the league kind of caught up to your skill set?
Yeah, I at times, because it's always funny is a lot of people will always say that I was like the first stretch 4 man in the NBA and stuff like that, but I still think it was like Derek Coleman and guys like that who were before my time. And I also think people don't realize that I actually played inside more and put the ball on the floor more early in my career. It wasn't until I got slower and smarter to extend my career that I became a stretch four. And it's funny now because it's like I tell people all the time, if you look at LeBron, after I played with him in 2005 to 2007, ever since then, he's always had to have a guy like me on his team. So I think it really speaks volumes of, like, yeah, I think I was ahead of my time.
I agree.
Does LeBron owe all of his career success to you? Because I'm ready to state that right now on the Retrocast.
No, I think he owes it to himself and his hard work.
All right.
We'll say it for you.
I just helped him find a type of player that he likes to play with, which is a stretch four.
Look at that stretch.
Missed it.
Ah.
Rebound by Brown. Pushes it ahead. Here comes Barrett. He's cut off as he tries to penetrate. Down the lane, Mo Brown. Reverse. Barrett has it slip out of his hand.
Nice lead.
Ooh, wow.
Pass.
Ooh.
Barrett on the giveaway, but
And
not
KO
throwing
really was
tantrum.
fast.
How you do it?
you can
He definitely was fast. Him and Donnie, we used to have to do our Husky run, and we used to have to run our miles. I think him and Donnie were running like sub 5 minute miles. They were definitely fast and out there.
For which pass to deliver.
75% for Kevin Ollie during the regular season at the line. That ball slipping out of Rowan Barrett's hand is the first.
The mustache still hanging on.
I know.
Here in the first 6.5 minutes.
Find your lucky stick with it.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Ollie missed 2 at the line.
Hit it.
Here's Donyell for 3.
That'll work.
There it is.
Yeah, all right.
Donyell Marshall, second three-pointer. He has
I really love those uniforms. Those are my favorites. I love the Connecticut.
They're a little small.
Were they? A little too tight?
Well, that was, Fab Five, which is the same year as me, they're the ones who started the long,
Yeah.
swords and stuff, but we didn't
he'll bring it up himself. Sheffer.
get into that yet.
He just keeps going, doesn't he?
We were watching some from the early 2000s where the shorts had gotten quite ridiculously large.
He has 7.
Yeah,
It all flows in
definitely
cycles.
changed by then.
They're swinging back the other way now.
Minland, little
I think Hashim Thabit still has the record for longest shorts.
Minland was 22 last night in the win over Pitt.
He's 7'3", his shorts were like 5 feet of the 7'3".
His shorts were about my height.
One Russ in length.
Here's Sheffer. Steps through some traffic.
Wow.
From outside.
A lot of options. And the two-headed point position. And they both
Donyell, how many
makes them so
offensive sets do you think this team had? Like when you came down the floor, how many options were there to kind of initiate the offense?
Donnie Marshall trying to
You know what? Sometimes I sit back when I watch these games. I try to remember the plays.
Penetration.
I'm not sure. I think we were honestly, man. We were all about running. It was about trying to just get down the floor. I mean, I think when it comes to sets, I would say we probably had about 4 sets with about 3 or 4 different options on each set. Coach Calhoun was a very good play caller after timeouts and stuff. I think we did a lot of scoring on that. But as far as coming down the court, we were pretty much on maybe 3 or 4 sets with 3 or 4 different options on each set.
How much time did you guys spend on those set plays? Was that like a big part of your practice routine?
We worked on our plays probably about 15, 20 minutes every practice. But like I said, in that 15, 20 minutes, probably about 10 of it was basically transition offense. So
There's the double dribble.
Oh, that was it?
There it is. Yeah, all right. Nobody mention it. Just let it
they'll
go.
show it in slow motion, so you'll definitely see it. It was definitely a double dribble.
It looked like it in real time, but we're just going to pretend it never happened.
Yeah, they did not like to call the whistle in the Big East, and I respect that.
There you go, Kev.
Oh, here we go. Hit the trailer. Hit the trailer.
Ooh. 1,
Yep.
1.5.
No one was looking at you. It's
No,
fine.
no, no.
That was a pass, though.
Yeah.
Donnie Marshall will go to the line, and he has to be, Billy, one of the most improved
Hey,
players.
there's Ray. I was wondering when we were going to see Ray.
You thought he would be a spot player.
A low post kind of a guy.
I mean, that's the thing that's always funny is when I explain to people about this team and I tell them that Ray didn't even start for this team.
Crazy.
You know, and he's second leading scorer for the season.
We're 20 minutes into this broadcast, and he just showed up.
I forgot that Ray was on this team until just now.
Yeah.
Not shy about shooting anymore.
Now, this is just a solid basketball team.
The last game, because this was Scheffer's freshman year too. And the last game we watched, like, if you didn't know, if it was the only game you watched, you would have thought Scheffer was like the Hall of Famer freshman.
We'll see Willingham a little later.
Well, you have to understand. I mean, he was a freshman, but he was also what, 22?
He's like 28.
12. Here's Scott from outside. Won't go. Donnie Marshall.
Kind of like Sabonis when Sabonis came to the NBA.
Oh,
Wow. Wow.
That's a strong finish.
That was nuts.
Oh, did they call it off for traveling?
Yeah.
What?
Oh.
That's rude.
They got you back for the double dribble? How's that a travel?
What?
That's not a travel.
That's not a travel.
Makeup call?
That's definitely a makeup call.
Oh, give me a break.
That's not even 2 steps.
Boo.
No.
Should have gotten teed up.
Well, that's why you've got an experienced guy.
So I guess I made up for my double dribble.
Getting down the floor easily.
Exactly right.
Should have been 44 points.
Gives it up underneath the mid-lane and lays it in.
We're going to put in a call with the Big East record keeper
That's
after
right.
this.
Yeah.
Donyell threw it without anybody seeing him. King looking the other way.
I love Kirk King.
Posting up Brown.
Oh, whoops.
Sheffer does have the size advantage in that matchup. Sheffer's 6'5", and Brown about 5'9".
What?
What?
14 points for Donyell.
That's not normal.
And he didn't have
What?
he just made
At this
I think
point,
I
do
was
you just
getting lucky
know?
at this point in time.
Do you just know tonight's your night at this point when you hit a shot like that?
16-point lead. The Huskies
Pretty much.
doubled it up on St. John's. Along the baseline, Minden, no place to go.
Now Rashawn should get to the box and they've got to give it to him. I think he's going to do some damage.
D up, Ray.
Shot clock inside 10 now. You see it to the left.
I feel like they haven't showed Jim Calhoun this entire game either.
Yeah.
Scott.
He hasn't had to get mad.
Yeah, that's true.
They got it all.
Here it comes. Oh,
Milked it, got a good one.
Here's Donnie Marshall with the other end. Rattles out. Back comes
I
Scott
feel like Sheffer has this
on the wing.
travel.
Oh, yeah.
Has this mannerism about him when he's about to, like, when he really wants to, like, throw a 25-foot pass across the court.
Get an opportunity, you must take it.
It's always funny because anytime
That could have got it to 12.
that I meet anybody from Israel, and if you bring up his name, he's a god over there. You know what I mean? It's like anybody like our age and above that, they know him. And if I say I played with him and all that, I mean, he's a god over there. It's crazy.
I love that.
He was on the national team even prior to coming to UConn, right?
I think so. But then when he went over there as a professional, I think he won like 4 or 5 championships.
Yeah.
6, according to Wiki.
It's the Michael Jordan of Israel.
He is.
Basically. But then I think he came back from cancer too. I think he had got cancer or something, and then he beat that and came back and won championships after that too.
Damn.
Yeah, he had testicular cancer. And then he won.
Isn't he doing some sort of, like, noble work right now, too?
That was beautiful.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. What up, Brian Fair?
18 minutes a game. Let's see, 13 minutes a game. Averaging 8 points, good stroke, 47 from the field, 41 from 3.
A lot of fun players on this team.
There they are.
Phoenix, another of the collection of state players.
This was a fun team. This was a very formative. I was in middle school, so this was like a team I really followed, and so it was a lot of fun to watch. It was a lot of fun to be a fan of this team.
Megan, it makes sense, like, knowing you now, that this is the kind of team that you grew up watching because
Yeah.
you love great guard play and fast breaks and
I
teams
know.
getting a lot of
Yeah.
shots up.
There it is.
And that is this team.
This team is everything you need to know about me.
How would you not want to watch a team that scores like 80 points a game?
Right?
I would love that.
Setting up his offense, which is rolling right now to a 14-point
Get Dave.
See, I get chills seeing that. Like, you see Steve Emp, number 50 right there.
Yeah.
I mean, now that he's paralyzed now, like
God.
that part, like it's just the chills seeing him walking right there, and then a year later he was paralyzed.
Yeah. He had a good little appearance on The Last
Cameo.
Dance.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another guy doing good work.
Green in the lineup for the first time. Almost lost it along the baseline. McLeod just a little bit short. Now Green back up and in.
Getting back and even on make.
UConn's up by like 30, and half of St. John's points are just pure bullshit.
This is still the era where they never show the score.
Right, what are you doing?
Scramble for it now.
Yeah, that'll work.
There you go, send it in.
Yeah.
Count it. There you go.
Heck yeah.
That's a little NBA continuation.
Yeah, whatever.
You love it.
Before the explosion to the goal.
Let's see. They indicated that it was good, but now Jim Burr is going to change that.
Oh,
Intentional
Come on, Burr.
Oh, they're going to call it an intentional, though?
is elevating quickly.
There is no
there we go.
have-
That's the
now
clip
we're-
I wanted.
There we go. He's so upset.
So now we're at 46 points for Donyell.
Yeah, they keep taking him.
Well, that should have been a jump ball at worst for St. John's. I mean, all of a sudden, just
Is that
I
Lindsey
think
Graham?
after this, we should watch the Doug McDermott game and start taking points from his total.
Yeah. Let's cut him down a peg.
I'm sure we can do it.
this could be worse. This could be 5 points instead of
Could
3.
be. And if you're keeping track of such things, Donyell has made 23 straight at the line in this building this year.
Oof. I thought they might jinx you.
There are a few out there that are
Danielle, I thought
Yeah,
about watching the other 42-point game, but in that game you went 20 for 20 from the line, and I just didn't know if we wanted to spend that much time watching you take free throws.
Yeah, that game's a little boring, actually.
St. John's. There's no physical presence inside.
Fair misses a three. Back up with
There you go.
Wow.
That's tough. Tough.
Hall of Fame
Lucky.
rebounding.
Once we've been in quarantine for like another year, maybe we'll get to that one.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of that sequence, we know him as a straight-up jump shooter. Here, fair, awry, and all of a sudden, the selection
Yeah,
is
that's all.
incredible here. You see the defense on the one side. Luke makes you change.
We should
One of
get
the
Bill
first time
Raftery
Ray
out
came
for
to
one of these.
practice and put his shorts on, and his calves is huge. The only other person I've seen with big calves like that at that age was like Alonzo Mourning.
Yeah.
Oh.
Very similar players.
take it away.
No, Alonzo Mourning, my freshman year, I cut across the lane and he hit me with an elbow,
There you go, Luke. That
and I just fell straight to the ground. And I think I asked Coach Calhoun for a sub after the game.
Game might be able to shot over the outstretched hand of Ollie. Nice
And then Rod Sellers just came in swinging.
gives it up to Beckett. He draws the crowd.
Yeah, no, I think he was done with his Duke stuff at that point in time. He was trying to stay on good behavior to try not to get suspended for 2 games in the play tournament that year.
Hayward as well, and they dish the ball off. Look at what Florida has done to South Carolina.
The foul, by the way, the second on Eric Hayward. The line for a couple. Nothing there for Beckett on the first.
How many of these guys are you still in contact with, Daniel?
Those numbers in the regular season. Minlin comes
On our team,
Yeah.
McLeod goes back to the bench.
on this team, I think most of them.
Have sprinted ahead.
Brian came to our game when we played Arizona State. Brian and I talk all the time. Steve and I talk all the time. Jeff Calhoun was my roommate, so we talk all the time.
To a jump spot.
Donnie,
I mean, he actually has
talk to him pretty often. Kevin, we talk often.
just gets up so
Ray, once in a while. Rudy, talk to him often.
Side gets the back.
Is he hurt in this game still?
Ruslan and Yakin, who's at the end of the bench, his son is actually part of our team impact program
Oh, word.
here at Central Connecticut.
Point victory for Loyola. Advancing
So yeah, pretty much a lot of those guys.
Donnie Marshall. good ball movement that time.
It
He
sure
just
was.
didn't make the shot.
And a great
A lot of the
Jonathan-
guys we talked when we, at Coach Calhoun's event, we'll meet up on that part with most of the guys then. But everybody else, we pretty much text pretty often.
But Minlin winds up
Nice.
with the ball.
It's too bad that got canceled this year.
Yeah.
for St. John's. Fortunately, the fumble occurred.
That's 10 now for Charles Minlin.
Oh, that's what the score is.
Just over 4.5 minutes.
Doesn't even matter.
Could have said it.
We're in the first half.
Could have said it was 46-40. I would have known.
Connie Martin. He is enthusiastic in his style of play, to say the least.
Look at this shot.
That was beautiful.
What are you gonna do at that point? You know,
That is just silky smooth.
Guy gets up by
they can't even foul you.
some variety.
Well, Florida did.
Wow.
A chill goes over the chat room.
Oh, you said it, not one of us.
we would never have brought that up.
You know what? It's funny because it seems like everybody else still has a problem with it. I was over it right away. It happened. It's like it wasn't like it sent me into a depression or whatever. I went and played 15 years in the NBA, and the thing that was funny was, I don't know if you remember that. Probably, I remember there was a book called Reader's Digest that used to come out back then, and it was. They actually ended up doing an article about that situation because I guess whoever it was must have been at a game when I played against the Atlanta Hawks. And the same situation happened, and I made both free throws against the Atlanta Hawks. And somebody had wrote an article about how, like, the difference in just the confidence to be able to step up to the line where, somebody else it would have still been in their mind and they would have missed it. Like, if you remember, did all you guys watch The Last Dance?
Yep.
So do you remember Anderson when he missed the free throws against Orlando and then it just against Chicago and how it just messed him up for the next year or so after that. And it was just like, it's funny because every time there's people who say stuff on Twitter about could have made the free throws, could this and that, and I actually just laugh because it's just like, move on. We, as a school, we won 4 national championships since then. Whatever. We've had a lot of great players come after me. Let that go.
Yeah, it worked out okay.
Definitely being threatened. 26 by Billy Donovan back in 87.
The new Marshall
But real talk, you guys would have beat BC by 40 in the Elite Eight, right?
Obviously.
Honestly, I'm gonna tell you what. I think a little bit. That's kind of why we might have got upset. I think we might have overlooked Florida because we knew BC was next, and it was like we've beaten them a couple of times. We were on at that point in time. What was it? A 12-game win streak, And I think we probably got a little overconfident, and because we should have never went to overtime. We can talk as much as we want about the missed free throws, but I think we were up 9 with 4 minutes left in the game. Should have never even went to overtime.
Here comes Schefter on the move. Pulls up for a jump.
And you guys hated BC, right?
Battling the rebound. Gets it to Donyell.
Huh?
He misses.
Didn't you guys hate BC at that point too?
Yeah, I think we'd have beat BC.
My enduring, probably one of my first memories is you and Bill Curley going at each other.
The biggest lead in the half has been 6.
It's funny because we're actually really good friends now.
Are you?
But he gets mad though because I keep sending him clips of me dunking on him or and stuff. So we'll be in a full-blown texting conversation, and then I'll send him a video, and then we won't talk for like a week or 2.
One of my very first basketball memories was it was a dead ball, so he must have gotten somebody reached in and fouled him 10 feet away, and he threw up the shot anyways after the clock, and you just jumped and blocked the shot into the crowd, and he just gave you this look what are you doing? I just thought that was the most badass thing.
Even, me and Howard Isley, we both got drafted by the Timberwolves. that year. So he wouldn't even talk to me. We were roommates on the road for training camp and stuff. Like, he hated the fact that he had to room with me and stuff because they had never beat us and everything. And I would just bring up the game where they were up 18.5 and we came back and won in double overtime. But it's funny that I talked to 3 or 4 players from that team consistently.
It's really funny.
I love that.
He has 22 points in the first half.
Second one.
Probably says something that I harbor grudges from being like 9 years old and you're friends with these people.
It's totally normal.
Yeah, normal behavior on my part.
Everyone in the country recognizes their ability.
What can you say? It's obviously, it gets to those points where, like, I hate Syracuse or I hate, Georgetown or I hate, because of our competition. But, it doesn't mean that you can't be friends later, but it's also when your schools are playing each other, you're going at each other,
Season. How about this one? It has been even better. They win the Big East by 3 games. No one had ever done that before.
Do you guys, does Central have any comparable rivalries like within your conference at the moment? Like, what's the fiercest rivalry within your league?
I mean, obviously for us, it's probably Fairfield. Although I'm not doing a good job against them. I think I'm 0-8, so I'm not doing a good job against that rivalry. Our other rivalry right now would probably be Hartford. We play them every year. I'm 2-2 against them. But I would pretty much say, like, that would be the closest thing to rivalries right now for us.
And UConn soon.
Well, we're playing them this year. Finally, they finally, got the balls to play us. I think they had to go in there and get a couple of top 100 kids before they played.
Yeah, totally.
Make sure they want to
bump up the recruiting ranking a bit.
Yeah.
I was glad they made that happen.
So what are your thoughts on UConn heading back to the Big East this year?
I'm excited about it. I'm one of the ones who definitely didn't want them to leave. I was upset when they left the first time. Even like, when I bring up McDermott breaking, my record, it was almost like, not a Big East team breaking my record. That's the way I felt, even though they were, in the Big East and stuff. But I think for us it'll help recruiting. It'll help being able to go to a conference that 5 or 6 teams can go to the NCAA tournament. So I think it's going to be very good.
Man, that first step, killer.
If I try to do a step like that now, I might tear my whole knee up.
Me too.
Outstanding freshman.
Nice double down to give Sheffer a look.
Shoot it.
Just simple. Sheffer makes a pass.
That'll work.
That ties the Big East record for tournament points in a half. 26.
What was that, 26?
That's pretty good.
That's what McDermott had too, right?
An amazing performance by Donyell.
And they'll get the ball back. He's liable to break it for a half.
And the Husky fans are loving it here in the Garden.
What's that call?
Inside, I think
That's soft.
is going to be called for
Oh, what up, Boo?
Well, they ride the box. I mentioned earlier, Donnie Marshall doing
Everybody loves Boo.
Every like 10 minutes, a new guy I love comes on the court. This is great.
Coach Calhoun hating right there.
Yeah,
right?
what's up with that?
Me out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you mad now? Because do you have any idea?
I had no clue what was even going on. Probably.
What a fun kid to watch play.
Honestly, half the time when I played, even in the NBA, I probably had no clue what was going on during the game. Like, I thought about so many other things besides the game. Like, the game came naturally. It's always one of the things that you're not supposed to really think the game. You're supposed to do instinct. A lot of times I was on the court probably singing songs or thinking about something else or this and that. it just a lot of the stuff just came naturally.
Ali type of speed. Usually this is Kevin Ali's play, but he will try and turn the corner and he'll screen in on
What about when you were hitting 12 threes in a game? Even at like 9, you weren't like, wow, this is a lot of threes.
I was excited just because of it was against the Sixers. So I knew my family was back home watching. Growing up in that area, growing up watching the Sixers, I knew the game was on local. So I knew they would be watching it, and I think it was more just excited of that it was against the Sixers so that my family was watching it back home. Probably still had no clue what was going on. Thought I had broke the record. Actually, when they took me out the game the first time, our statistics guy was not that good. He was supposed to let me know that I didn't break the record because my last 3 threes, I would have shot regular instead of just throwing it up, thinking that I was hot at that point in time. You know, and I would have probably shot them right. But it was a good day. It was a good, fun day.
Steph Curry broke that record, right?
Steph Curry broke it, and then I don't know if somebody else has tied him since then or broke it. I don't know. Ever since it got broke, I don't pay attention to it no more.
Me either. I just remember tuning in, hoping he missed.
Without the ball to score, you've got to learn how to set them up, put those puppies in a little jib, boom, boom, and go to the goal.
Having played for like a handful of NBA teams like that, are there any like comparable fan bases that still kind of follow you the way UConn fan base still follows you?
Toronto does.
They seem like lunatics in a good way.
I tweeted the other day that about Jerry Sloan because next to my high school coach and Coach Calhoun, Jerry Sloan was my favorite coach. He did so much for me off the court, on and off the court, helping me become a professional, helping me learn the game, how to eat, sleep right, challenge me and push me and stuff. And you know, it's funny just seeing so many fans who you know, had enjoyed my 2 years there. I actually wanted to re-sign in Utah. I had a great time there. Negotiations didn't work out, but I would say Golden State, Toronto, and Utah.
I would have guessed you were at Utah for longer than 2 seasons. Like I
was there 2 seasons. Had actually 2 really good seasons.
Yeah.
And, Revley thought I was going to re-sign there. I actually had really good numbers my second year there. I think I was averaging like 18 and 9, and then I got hurt. Ended up missing like 15 games or something like that. Never really recovered fully until the playoffs. You know, but the system was right for me. The players were right. The coaches were right. You know, unfortunately, sometimes is your agent and the GM just don't get it done, and we didn't get it done, but I never wanted to leave Utah.
I'd say Minnesota, Golden State, and then Utah are the 3 teams I first associate you with.
As much as I hate to say it, it's funny because even though I got drafted by Minnesota, Minnesota's the least team that I associate myself with.
That's funny. Probably because I had the number 42 T-Wolves jersey when I was a kid.
Yeah. I think it was just more just because they gave up on me so quick.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, drafted me and traded my rookie year. Like I almost would have rather had gotten drafted at you know, draft night. I mean, traded at draft night instead of, you know, going through the rookie year. And, you know, I had sprained my ankle really bad, you know, missed 10 games. And, you know, the games that me, JR, and Christian were able to play together, we actually played well together. So to really never give us that chance to play, you know, kind of left a sour taste in my mouth.
51-36.
Fair enough.
McLeod moves to the baseline and gives it up to Donyell Marshall.
In traffic, you've got to
And then they drafted Ray and traded him on draft night.
When Mo Brown got that goal,
yep.
They could use a little momentum.
Well, they drafted Chris Smith first.
A lot of times they'll go to the alley-oop out of
So they had drafted all the 3 UConn players.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Chris stuck with them for a little bit, right?
I think he was there 2 years, 3 years.
in the lane for a jumper, bending off.
That was a bad shot. It's funny because I go back and watch these games sometimes, and I sit back and I'm like, man, if the kids on my team took some of these shots, I'd probably have a heart attack. I was like, I took some bad shots.
Yeah, but that's the benefit of like getting 80 field goal attempts a game. You can take some bad ones.
You're right. I also think I shot 55% from the field too, though. So they were bad shots. They went in though.
Inside to Donnie Marshall.
Ooh.
Here comes Donyell to the line. Goes back to
Wow.
the hand and scoops it in.
It's his day.
28 for Donyell Marshall.
That's right, Bill.
Yeah. Raft gets it.
Good pitch.
He had 42 in this building earlier this season. Down along the baseline, we've got a foul call. It's on Hayward.
Scoring 42 twice in the season against the same team is pretty hilarious.
What he did was try to discard in the post area, but Donyell attacked because of the
I wonder if anyone else has scored 30 against the same team in a season for UConn. I'm thinking maybe Kemba.
I was about to say Kemba would be a good candidate.
Here comes Barrett inside, runs right into Knight.
Whoa.
Here's Ollie.
Donyell waits to be the reverse.
I would watch like a 5-minute supercut of outlet passes from this team.
Yeah, for real.
TCF, get on it.
Oh,
Come on.
man.
Wow.
Ridiculous.
He hits the 30 mark.
That's what makes Scheffler special.
Just making it look easy.
Pass off the jump
He
shot.
made the game so easy for us.
Keep saying we haven't gotten to it yet, but I really want to watch a 96 game where he and Ray are both at like the peak of their UConn powers.
Charles Minlin, 55-41. Huskies have led throughout.
That was funny. 95 might be even more fun because that team still had KO and Travis Knight
They had everybody back but
and
me.
Donnie. Yeah,
Pinned down.
Here comes Sheffer.
I mean, we can do both. Quarantine
That
is
is true.
forever.
We've got the time.
come on, Chef.
One more time.
There you go. Just trying to get that foul.
Three cracks at it for Sheffer.
We call that the Josh Carlton. You just pad your
Here we go,
rebounding
Jeff.
stats.
But he's not exploding off the floor. He's got the toe tapped rebound on this one. And this
I
shows
just saw a
the
tweet.
size
Josh Carlton looks like he's lost about 30
of
pounds.
St. John's.
Whoa.
Jerome thinking he's playing with kids.
All right.
Play and a struggle
He's
for
gonna be
both.
playing the 3 this year.
Dominating performer up front.
Yeah,
Wow.
The lead is at 8.
he's
Saw the
gunning
picture
for
that-
Donyell's Big East tournament record.
6 assists.
Josh Carlton, doesn't he have, which one? He got the braids, right?
Now we have the
He did. Oh,
Did he have
He did
braids?
for a little while.
yeah.
Josh Carlton can't play the 3.
No, that was a joke. Oh,
Jokes. Oh. Oh.
a little too fast there.
You all right, Billy?
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh,
They put Josh Carlton at the 3 against us. I'm going zone for sure. Whenever he wants.
Nothing's broken.
Mike Corbin checking out. Just make sure
Sure.
everything's okay.
You okay?
Well, I always complimented Kevin Ollie on his ability to get down the floor and push.
Oh, the Coke.
A little stoppage of plays we get organized.
Yes. Let's regroup.
We know Meech.
You could see it coming, and there was nothing you could do about
We
it.
started, still got hit.
We were trying to get out of the way.
How often do you go back and watch these games, Donnell?
Here's Mo Brown.
When they first started playing, I would watch them often just to go back and see if I could steal any plays.
You clean up and
You know, for the whatever team I was coaching, whether they were out of bounds plays or regular plays. You know, a couple coaches that I coached with wanted me to put the 2-2-1 press in, so I would go back and watch the games just to see how we ran the 2-2-1 press. I don't watch them as much now. I think my kids actually watch them more than anything. They like to talk trash. You know, so.
I think I'm ready.
Uh, Yeah, it depends. Like some of them I'll watch, like the game at Pitt. I like watching that one just because I had the one dunk transition that I like to just watch so I can laugh. You know, I'm glad that nobody ever posted the second Villanova game, the one we lost at the buzzer.
I don't know that game.
All footage
Yeah,
has been
it's
destroyed.
the famous one where we lost at the buzzer, and after after
Wow.
I missed a shot to, I think we were down 1. I missed a shot, like a free throw line jump shot for us to win the game. It rolled in and rolled out, and Villanova fans, like I fell, like I shot it off balance and fell to the ground. Villanova fans rushed the floor, and as they were rushing the floor, I kind of hit a kid, if that's what you want to call it, that was like running up to me and like pointing in my face and like, you know, laughing. So I kind of like pushed him out of the way after the game.
Just protecting himself.
Basically. But they, I think they tried to call Calhoun about it and all this and whatever. And, you know, Calhoun basically told them that they should have had control of their kids, that they shouldn't have had their kids rushing the floor, you know, things like that. But it was a good game.
Wow.
Here in the second half, he scored the last 5 for St. John's as they try to climb back. Tough to do against a team like this.
How often do you talk to Coach Calhoun these days?
I've been to a couple of their practices. I've been to a couple of their games. I'm only like 5 minutes away from St. Joe's, so
Right.
I go around there and watch practices and talk to him. He's hysterical, actually.
Is he exactly the same?
I think he's not. I don't know, because I look at it different. You know, when you're playing for him, you know, you're like, oh my God, whatever. But now that, you know, that you played for him and then you're seeing it and you don't have to go through it, it's kind of hysterical. You know, like, what's St. Joe's, their mascots, the Blue Jays or something like that?
Yeah.
And like one day I was there and they're going over the 2-2-1 press and like he yelled at a kid for not moving and he was like, the Blue Jays not going to move. He's been on the floor for the last 100 years. Like, he's not moving. I mean, I'm sitting on the sideline because I don't want the kids to see that I'm laughing. And I'm just, and then, you know, even though that I'm older and don't play for him, you don't want him to see that you're laughing.
Right.
You don't want him to turn around and yell at you. So, like, I'm turning around trying to, like, bite my tongue and just, the things he was just saying was laughing, and it was hysterical.
That's amazing.
UConn very much in control.
It's hard to imagine him mellowing much. Like, it's just in his DNA.
Oh, it's there. Like, honestly, I also think that, this is my personal opinion, I always felt like any of us who ever went back to the games, it's almost like he put a show on for us sometimes. I don't know if you guys ever heard the story about when I was with Cleveland and we went to the game.
No.
In Milwaukee. So I'm with Cleveland and we fly in to play Milwaukee. And as we're checking in, UConn's checking out because they're about to play Marquette. And I didn't even know that, you know, that they were going to play Marquette. So I got them to leave tickets for, you know, it was me, LeBron, Damon Jones, Larry Hughes, a couple of LeBron's people. So we're sitting right behind the bench, and Marquette is killing us. What's his name? Novak? I think Novak had like 41.
Yeah, he had 40 something.
Novak game. Yeah.
And, you know, one time out, I think Marcus Williams was just turning the ball over that game. The one time he called a timeout, Marcus Williams has the ball in his hands, and as he's walking off the court, he's telling Marcus, he's like, give me the ball, give me the ball. Marcus finally gives him the ball, and he just takes it and throws it, and he's like, you don't fucking want it. And just throws it. And LeBron turns to me and says, you played for this crazy motherfucker? So I was like, yep. I was like, yes, I played for him. So it was funny. It was a good game.
Oh God, I love that.
I guess that's true. LeBron probably never had anyone in his life who talked to him like that.
No.
Yeah.
as good as he is.
which further proves my widely held belief that LeBron should have come to UConn.
I agree.
Yeah, just for a year.
You believe everybody's going to UConn, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't believe that everybody is. I believe that everybody
Your posts are
should.
hilarious about the greatest player in history and why, and why UConn's the greatest. Sometimes when you first post it, if I don't read it, if I glance it, I'm actually believe what you're saying.
Because it's all correct.
It's making about nonsense constantly.
Yeah.
It's very
I forgot
unbrand.
the one time, it was maybe like a year or two ago when UConn wasn't that good, but it was like UConn beat such and such who beat such and such, so that makes UConn the #1 team in the country.
It's
or
just
something
math,
like that.
Donyell.
Like,
It's just math.
Can't argue against that.
Ray Allen, Sheffer.
Sheffer's three is on the way.
Ooh.
Rims out. The follow is up no good. Now Allen
There you go,
comes
Ray.
on the left hand.
There it is.
I thought Ray was going to dunk that.
The 10, their king.
I'm going to find a good Ray game. We're going to do a good Ray game next.
12 minutes to go. The Huskies looking
Now,
ahead.
if only he'd return my calls to come on the podcast.
Is Providence looking ahead to them? More importantly, huh?
he might not. You guys didn't vote him as the best player in history.
Providence when Ollie's making
I think I might have, actually.
to win it.
Our audience didn't, but I think I might have.
I did.
Yeah.
Realistically, you
I don't know. I go back and forth on it a lot.
Played well down at UConn. Did not see that game.
Well, I mean, as soon as I saw the bracket and saw I was in his region, I knew I was done.
It's hard to beat Ray or Kemba.
free throws. They
That was the
Exactly.
final two in ours, too.
have him at the line.
I don't remember which one knocked you out in ours. It was one of the two of them when we did
Ray
it.
knocked me out.
Yeah, 7 years ago.
Senden Hamilton, all 6'11" of him. Headed their way.
Signed him the other day. And
Shabazz winning that 2014 title made things a little more complicated, too.
1 out of 2 at 64-50. More Big East tournament basketball after a word from your local
Well,
station.
what's a lot of this stuff based on,
Sure,
though?
we are a great team.
It's a great question.
We've already shown that.
I have no idea.
No question. We'd like to be playing Sunday against somebody, and we certainly would like to head down south.
When we did it originally, we did so much research. We literally
Oh my
spent
God.
months
Certainly capable.
because we wanted to make sure, like, if we weren't overlooking some dude from the 50s that none of us had heard about. Like, we made sure.
And that-
So, like, we were, like, meticulous about seeding, and we're like, well, clearly this guy from the 50s was a little better than, like, I don't know, Rudy Johnson. And then, of course, everyone just remembers Rudy Johnson and votes for him anyways. We're like, all right, well, so much for
Whatever.
that.
And didn't you just forget Hilton Armstrong entirely?
Yeah, we forgot.
Yeah. Sure did.
Beautiful shot by Allen.
and was
Well, I
that wasn't just
once
That was
lost.
before you brought me on, and I straightened you all out.
Did it. 66-50.
Was that you?
Lead has been 18. Excuse me, 19 was the biggest lead.
Yell freeze.
Wicket against Allen. Great player, Allen, coming off the bench. He'll be coming off the bench
No.
next year.
No, I doubt it. If he is, they're going to be back at it.
You just heard Ray won't be coming off the bench next year. Yeah, that's right.
I tend to agree.
Understatement.
Donyell Marshall. Allen had it, lost
I
it.
think Donyell froze.
And did you notice Donyell was at half
I
court?
think he's back.
Blocked the shot. I was coming back into the picture. He was ready to go. And that's what
Maybe,
makes
maybe
him
not.
extraordinary.
Maybe he's just sitting very still.
Minlin forcing it up.
This game's a bloodbath.
Shot clock violation.
I love it.
Yeah, this is awesome.
I need to go get another beer. I'll be right back.
The shooter got out on him, leaving nothing unturned.
10:45 remaining in the game.
Every time we watch for these Big East tournament games, I get so excited about getting to play in the Big East tournament at Madison Square Garden again. I'm so excited. It's going to be so fun.
Come up with the basketball. Here comes Beckett. Derek Brown.
Yeah, and then I try not to think too much about what everything looks like.
The logistics of
He gets something out of the zone, the rebound.
Of the world.
But the big thing with the three-point shot
Don't burst my bubble.
stretches you.
That's the second three-pointer made by the Johnnies this afternoon. Here comes Donnie Marshall from behind.
It's a nice little move.
That's pretty quick feet for the broad-shouldered Donnie Marshall.
The broad-shouldered Donnie Marshall.
It's true.
But maybe the spirit of this team.
You might be right about that. Sometimes a little too spirited.
Yeah.
The funny part about him and I is everywhere we went,
Control from time to time.
I can't say everywhere we went because it still happens to this day where people think that we're brothers. And he's from Washington State and I'm from Pennsylvania. We look nothing alike.
Not at all.
And people swear we're brothers.
All year in Big East.
It would also be pretty fucked up if your parents
Or
named
you
one
get
of you
the-
Donnie and one of you Donyell.
1 out of 2 is all he'll have to show for his
Take it, Ray.
Well, you get the other now is because he does the pre and midnight
And Donyell Marshall saves it. Back
Big East.
Wow.
lays it home.
And every time he says something,
When your star hustles and
Twitter,
gives of himself like that,
thinking it's me.
everybody else is
Oh, you just catch it, huh? You should turn it around and start saying crazy
Yeah.
shit and blaming it on Donnie.
He hung up there as long as he could and fouled with a foul.
I always thought the like name on the back convention was so hilarious because like you're both D Marshall.
Both Don Marshall.
Well, I'll tell you a little
Here comes Marshall.
story about that. So,
Go to Donnie.
our freshman year,
few mistakes.
I think his had D.Y. Marshall and mine had D.L. Marshall on it.
Oh, okay.
Foul is on Donnie Marshall.
I think our freshman year.
Ball is Willingham.
And then
Allen will leave.
I think I might have been watching a NFL game or something, and it might have been like two people that had the same name. You know how like you know one person with their name with the last name, and then another person that have the initial and the whatever, so you can tell the difference. And it was, I hated that mine had D.L. Marshall on it. So I remember going into Calhoun was like, why can't mine just say Marshall and his say D. Marshall or his say whatever on it? And I mean, I fought for that for a while, and he finally let us do it my junior year, where mine just says Marshall and his has D. Marshall on it.
That's amazing.
Just a struggle in midseason.
I remember the first name initials, but I couldn't remember when it changed. That's funny.
Certainly with the absence of Chanel Scott has stepped up along with McLeod and Barrett.
A nice little pulling the string here. That
Hit it, Donnie.
nice screen by Willingham.
Yeah.
On the weak side, Brown outbattles Sheffer for the rebound. Now Mo Brown will push it up. That's a three. Carl Beckett gets the three.
I don't like this. This is
All
getting too
right.
close.
It is getting a little buttery here.
Just 9.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Just give it to Donyell. That's fine.
Yeah. They probably should have done that more.
Get it to me.
Derek's three.
Here we go.
Look out here.
Hold on.
4-on-1.
Here's Donyell.
Oh, come on.
That's awful.
Terrible.
I don't look like a good call to me.
Shut up, Russ. That should be 2 more points, so we're up to 48.
Let's
We'll
see.
get you to 50.
Brown on his right, but if he left it a little longer, maybe he would have drawn the D and then the easy finish.
Danielle, how you staying busy during this stay-at-home period here?
Been doing a lot of Zoom calls, talking to the players, had a couple of guest speakers on.
Looked like you made a hell of a brisket.
Yeah, I made a brisket today, and some smoked mac and cheese.
Ooh.
It's trying to work on my cooking skills a little bit more. I always like to cook, but never been great at the smoker with the brisket anyway. I finally got a pellet smoker, and the brisket today actually came out pretty good, first time. Other than that, been doing CrossFit in my garage.
Wow.
Was just in a challenge with CrossFit people. We had to do 30 miles in 30 days. Ended up doing 90 miles of running. So trying to lose some weight and get thin and not look like Barkley or Shaq.
I've definitely put on a few pounds in quarantine. not looking great.
I'm definitely getting more Barkley shaped the longer this goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was doing good, and then I had put on probably 8-9 pounds because even if you do the Zoom calls and you're working, whatever, you're sitting around the house just snacking all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, stepped on the scale and I had to change it back up. So start running more again. I have my Peloton, so I've been doing my Peloton once in a while.
Here we go.
Ooh,
Uh-oh.
here we go.
Send it in.
Uh-oh.
There it is.
Yeah. Well, say what's up to the students. Donnie, let the man flex. What are you pulling him for?
Gotta get back on D.
Always know where the student section is.
Yeah.
How good does that feel? Like when you're in the open court, you know you're gonna do something.
It feels good, especially I know the 360 against Seton Hall was way better, but doing it in the Big East and doing it at the Garden, it was like for me just realizing dang, I might be playing professionally here within a year or two, so to be able to do it in college with it sold out in the Garden and, it was a great feeling, especially knowing that, my family was there. By this time, this is February, March, so by this time my son was 5-6 months old, and so my son was at the game. So it was like every game that he was at, I always tried to, play even harder, even though he doesn't, obviously he doesn't remember, doesn't anything like that, but just the fact that he was there was always special moments.
It's awesome.
Is that Donyell Jr.?
No, Donyell Jr.
I was doing the math in my head, wait, that's not right. I was like, isn't he on your team right now?
Yeah, well, he graduated this year.
Coming up tonight, tournament continues. The last two quarterfinal games.
And your daughter went to UConn, right?
Yes, my daughter went to UConn, and she had a better career than I did. She was a cheerleader. It was funny because coming out of high school, she was so set on going to Arizona or Arizona State or Miami, somewhere where it was hot. I kept telling her that, she should give UConn a try. I kept telling her, she would love it. Listen, I know you. I know the time I had, and I know you'll have a great time, this and that. She was like, I don't want to go there. It's cold. We lived in the cold our whole life.
Fair.
But, sometimes things happen for a reason. She was supposed to go to Arizona to try out for the cheerleading team, and she got mono.
Oh.
So she couldn't go out there and try out. She couldn't do anything for a while. And the cheerleading coach that was at UConn at that time was the same cheerleading coach that was there when I was at UConn. So kind of reached out to him to see if, she could do a tryout at UConn a little later once the mono cleared up. And he said yes. She ended up going to UConn 2 weeks into school. Everybody knows the first week of school is all partying. I think the first week into school, she had such a great time, this and that, whatever, that after her second week, she had called saying that was the greatest decision of her life.
Oh, I love that.
So she ended up going to UConn. She ended up cheering. And the reason I say she probably had a better career than me is her freshman year, she went to the Final Four, the one they lost in Michigan. So that was her freshman year. I think her sophomore year, she went to the International Bowl with the football team up in Toronto. Junior year is when the football team made the BCS game against Oklahoma. So she went to that. And then senior year, she won the championship with Ken Benham, so she has a national championship ring.
Oh,
wow.
Nice.
So, yeah, she had a better career than me.
Is it at your mom's house?
Did she flex on you with that?
Huh?
Did she flex on you with the ring?
Well, no, because I have one too. So.
That ring's going to be at your house in 10 years.
Yeah.
Just like all your trophies are at your mom's house.
Nah, she has her ring pack. She actually wears her ring once in a while, I think.
That's awesome.
I have the first national championship ring, and then I have that championship ring as well.
That's awesome.
So.
How many of the 4 title games did you get to go to in person?
I was at the last 3.
Yeah.
The first one, I was in Golden State, and that game was in Tampa, and we actually had a home game in Golden State the next night, and PJ wouldn't let me. I was going to charter a plane to go down. PJ wouldn't let me go down because he didn't want to take a chance of me missing the game. So actually, I watched that game from home in my living room with the news people. Actually, the sports news people of Oakland actually set up cameras and watched that game with me as we were watching that game. The second one, I was in Toronto. Actually chartered a plane, flew down to, I think that one was in
San Antonio,
St.
right?
Petersburg? Yeah, San Antonio. So chartered a plane down to San Antonio, and then left right after the game to fly to Cleveland because we played in Cleveland the next night. And then the one in Dallas was my first year coaching at GW. No, the one in Houston was my first year coaching at GW. So I was down there for that. And then the one in Dallas, I was coaching at Ryder. So I was able to go down to that for that.
That must be pretty cool to watch your alma mater play in the national championship game when your daughter's on the cheer squad.
It was really good. It was really good because as much as I was going to root for them anyway, obviously playing there and, being a family and this and that, but to see my daughter down on the court, and then she's actually in one shining moment. So, it was a tear dropped out of the eye, seeing her down on one shining moment and stuff like that. So it was good. She actually, I have a sports bar at home, and I actually have her uniform, her cheerleading uniform, hanging up.
That's awesome.
In my sports bar.
Wow. That's adorable.
That's great.
Yeah, that looked like a goaltend, by the way.
No.
Yeah, can we just talk about this insane block for a second?
Yeah, get it, Ray. It's on the way up.
Looks clean.
That's clean.
This might be the better angle. This is what we had. Yeah, see, it's coming down.
That's probably going down.
They may have said it wasn't going to reach the goal.
That's 2 more points for Donyell.
Look.
Now we're up to 50.
Yeah.
I forgot Chanel Scott didn't play this game. He's sitting on the bench.
And picks up a technical foul.
Oh.
Wait, who got a T?
Did Calhoun get a T?
I mean, I would usually just assume.
Yeah, right.
Was not infrequent.
It's like, that was a fucking goaltend. You're like, no, coach, that was us.
St. John's will get the ball on the side.
Well, whatever. It was either Calhoun or Donnie, I'm certain of it.
Well, we all know what happened at Providence that year, so don't assume it wasn't Donnie.
We have another technical?
He came over to you and said, Raph, that was goaltending, right?
I have no idea what's happening.
What is happening?
He was talking to you.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. Is this how you get your number 41 and 42? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, Kevin Ollie coming over now to find out if we're all right, It was a half an hour ago.
Well, at least they have the game in control. So he can
Kind of young Raph looks.
concern himself with others. The humanitarian aspects of Kevin Ollie.
Let's get Raftery on for one of these.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
The next time he misses
Do a drinking
Neil Onion.
contest.
I was going to say, I'm sure he'd do it if you told him he could bring a drink.
that turns that all around.
can. It's preferred.
And he was
Yeah.
asking you, Billy, if it was goaltending. You'd already confirmed you thought it was.
I love it.
Part that Jim Burr was listening to.
Really looking forward to some more 20-point UConn wins in the Big East tournament.
Yeah.
88-7.
It was really fun watching the women just beat the crap out of somebody in the last game we watched.
Old Dominion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure some of those games commentating could get boring after a while.
You got to pick them close, yeah. You gotta do your homework a little bit before you put it on.
They've never won a game less than 10 points, right? In the last how many years?
In the
American?
In the conference, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the games you have to watch of them. No, I remember like my freshman and sophomore year when Miami was in the conference. Miami was actually really good.
Yeah.
There were some good battles with UConn back then.
For a while, especially like the Breanna Stewart years, like they were just playing a different sport. So like you would watch and it was like the opponent was almost completely irrelevant. You were just watching like ball movement. It was like UConn versus physics.
Well, it's funny because watching them play, I think 3 or 4 of our plays were actually I took from the UConn women team.
Good shooter out here. Nice post pass by him too.
Off the glass and good.
Have you ever seen a Gino practice?
Red Lyson, who started a lot last year. This playing time-
Not when I was there. Our practice times were really, by the time we were usually in class when they practiced, and then we took the court right after them. So really never was able to watch them practice. And then now I don't think I've actually been up to watch any practices at UConn. I've been to games, obviously, but I haven't been up to watch any practices at all of either coach.
I'd be curious, Donnie, it's so ridiculous. I'd be curious to see like somebody who played for Calhoun, their interpretation of watching Gino run practice too. Because it's always been my assumption that Gino is kind of just as loud and crazy. And then we were talking to Gabby Williams, who played with him, for 4 years recently. And she was like, no, he just like, you do something wrong and he just will not talk to you for the rest of the practice.
Now Ollie off the lane with a jumper. Here comes Donyell.
Oh.
He misses.
That should have gone in. We'll count it.
Allen up.
Here you go, Ray. Look at Ray rebounding tonight.
I feel like everybody thinks of Ray as just a shooter, and like they forget that he was actually also a really great athlete. He could do other things.
Number 4 on Donnie Marshall. He's going to leave. Also checking in is Rudy Johnson.
Oh, here's Rudy. All right, there you go. You earned the smile.
The ovation begins for Donyell Marshall.
What do you think Calhoun's saying to you there?
He scores 42.
Well, it's funny because the reason I was probably laughing is because he did it to me earlier in the year also. I don't know if you remember that year I had a streak of, I think, 23 straight games of scoring 20 points or more. And we were playing Miami, and I had 19 points. And we were blowing them out in Miami, and it was about 2 minutes left, and he asked me, do I want to stay in to keep my streak going? And so I was like, well, who's coming in for me? And then he told me who was coming in for me, and I was like, let them come in and play, because it was somebody that that really never got a chance to play.
Hell
So
yeah,
I was
Rudy.
just like, let them come in and play. He was like, well, I'm going to let you go out there. He was like, whatever, I'm going to call one more play. He was like, just take the shot. He's like, if you make it, you make it. If you're not. So we did that. It was just let me stay in one more time and ran a play, ended up missing the shot, whatever. And I think the reason he's walking over to the bench and I'm laughing is because obviously I broke the record, but that's also tying my career high. And I think he was trying to let me stay in to break my career high.
Wow.
And so I think, it's just walking to the bench. If you see us laughing, it's because I had that little hook right there, which I could have broke the record I mean, I could have broke my career high on that little hook right there and missed it. So I think we were just laughing at, the fact that, he's like, I can't keep you in any longer. It's a minute
Yeah,
left. Like,
you get that one more shot.
Yeah.
Midland has fought the battle as he did last night in scoring 22. Hits that one and has 19 this afternoon. Look for big things from Midland next year.
Who's number 5?
This is
Marcus Williams. His brother played at Pitt.
The other Marcus Williams.
Is it Marcus? Marcus something. I don't know if it's Marcus Williams, but his first name is Marcus. I can't remember his last name. But his brother played at Pitt.
St. John's will have it.
Marcus Thomas.
Yeah, Marcus Thomas. Yeah.
An outstanding performance by a great team.
That's why you guys get paid all the big bucks.
Yeah, to have Sports Reference open on a different computer. With all these old games up on UConnHuskyGames.com, it's always an adventure. You look down and you're like, all right, there's 17 seconds left in the game and 12 minutes left on this tape. What is coming on after this?
It's going to be highlights.
Look at Rudy.
Well,
Get your 4 points, Rudy.
I've watched every game, so I know it's the news coming on after.
Right.
It was actually good because I forgot which game it was. It was one late in the career, in the whatever, where it was actually good because I was like, saw flashbacks of my mom and like I sent her video. Like the reason I watch the 360 dunk all the time really and truly is not to even watch the 360, but my grandmother passed away in 2009, so I usually watch that just because she's the one in there clapping and stuff all the time. So I usually watch that video just to see my grandma.
We're waiting to hear the announcement. You find it hard to believe that his family would make the trip up from Reading, Pennsylvania this morning if, in fact, they would announce that Donyell is coming back for another season.
Oh, we got your announcement.
Because they're about to announce as Jim Calhoun is moving over to the
Yeah, this was one of the most nervous moments in my life.
Wow.
Were you about to change your mind at the last minute?
Well, Calhoun was very good at persuading people, and I remember leaving my dorm telling my friend, wish me luck. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm going in to tell him I'm leaving. I was like, but, he's very good at persuading people, whatever. I went in there and I was very keen on, on leaving. But I think the press conference, the reason what made it really hard was Rebecca and I actually were both freshmen at the same time. We came in the same year. Mm-hmm. And we became really good friends because of her coming in with her status and me coming in with my status. And we became very good friends. And our freshman year, we were at lunch or dinner or something in the cafeteria. And she had said to me, promise me that no matter how good you get, you'll stay 4 years. So one of the decisions I had to go, to go talk to her to break my promise to leave. Because that's how we were really good friends and stuff. So to have to talk to her, and if you listen to this, you see me choke up a little bit. It's because I'm giving the speech to say I'm leaving, and she walks into the press conference.
Wow.
And it was like, oh man, basically I'm leaving one of my best friends. It was like, as much as I was leaving the team, I was leaving one of my best friends. So it was like, it was hard at that point in time. It also shows where I've come to. I'm chewing gum here. Who chews gum in the press conference?
Well, coach was a key factor. My mother, my father, Donyell, my assistant coaches, my coach, my teammates. They were very supportive of me.
When did you know you were going to go into coaching?
The deciding factor was where I just
I think a lot of NBA players have AAU programs and stuff, and I had one as soon as I came out the door. I had one, and for years I didn't like the coaches that were doing it because it was a mixture of players from my hometown and players from upstate New York and stuff like that, and it just seemed like the coaching staff, because I had coaches from like upstate New York, and it just seemed like they would never play my players from my hometown, even though like I was the one fronting the money. It just seemed, and I tried to stay out of it. You know, I didn't want to tell them what to do and whatever. And I would say my last 4 years of having the team, though, I took over. I just got rid of the coaching staff, and I took over the coaching. And once I started coaching and feeling that I could get, you know, the kids to play hard for me and to listen and to do whatever, and really felt like I was having fun, is when I really wanted to get into coaching. I was either coaching or get into commentating or something. I took a class at Syracuse. The NBA has like a program where you can do that in the summertime. So if you know anything, you know, after I retired with the Sixers, I did the pre and post game show for a year. So I did that first, and then I decided that I wanted to get into coaching, and then it just took off from there.
Decided to head off any further confusion between you and Donnie?
The what?
You didn't want to get into the same field as Donnie again?
No, I wouldn't say that. I just think that doing the pre and post game show was like, it was boring. I'm not going to say boring, because I don't want to hurt myself in case I have to ever go back to it. You know, I'm not going to say it was boring, but I just think that, you know, I was doing it maybe 2 times a week or 3 times a week. The other day, I don't have hobbies, you know, so it was like those other days when I wasn't doing it, I really had nothing to do. So it was just more of, you know, I just wanted something that was going to stimulate my mind every day, and make me work, and something that I really, really enjoyed.
Look at Red.
Big Red.
It's always interesting to me, like obviously you were a very highly touted recruit coming out of high school and then All-American in college. Like talking to some guys who have that sort of like built-in talent level, sometimes they get frustrated with coaching because you can't coach that kind of talent level into your players. Like, was it a tough transition being able to, like, I guess so many years in the NBA maybe makes it a little easier?
It's a very tough transition, because we see the game different. Obviously, I mean, like you said, you see what Michael Jordan, you see what Magic Johnson, LeBron, you see some of the passes they make, and just their instincts that they have are different. They study the game, they do it, whatever. And there's a lot of times when I'm coaching, and the simple thing that I think, you know, a player should do, and they don't do it, and you're like, why don't you see that? You know, like we have a big man who can't shoot, and you're like, okay, he's a very good dunker. Just every time your guard drives to the basket, you should be going to the rim to dunk it. But instead, he keeps fading backwards for a jump shot. And it's just like, that's simple. That's the easiest thing, like to just follow that rule, but you just can't get it. You know, one time I was coaching my AU team, and it was the starting point guard for his high school. And during the action, I'm telling him, run a side pick and roll. He goes down, he does something, I can't even remember what he does. Next time down, I'm like, run a side pick and roll. And this time he just runs like a high screen and this and that, whatever. So I finally call a timeout, and I'm like, yo, run a side pick and roll. He's like, Coach, I don't know what a side pick and roll is. And I'm like, how are you the starting point guard for your high school team, and you don't know what a side pick and roll is? And I think from that point on made me realize it's like you can't expect a player to be taught before you. You know, and then you also have to understand is even as a simple terminology as a side pick and roll, maybe the other coach used a different terminology. So I think sometimes those are the things that can be frustrating a little bit, is that, you know, just because it came easy to me, I have to realize that it's, you know, it's not as easy for some of these kids that I coach.
Right. What was the experience like coaching in the, I guess it was the D League then? What was that experience like compared to college?
Donyell's decision couldn't be complete with
basically the same. You know, it is no private planes. It is no whatever. A little bit. The D League is great, but I think some of the players that I had on our team at that time, it might have been a little bit frustration actually, because you know, you got guys up there who are on a professional level, guys who are trying to get to the NBA, like, and you had a coach on your staff who played at that level, and it's like you try to act like you know more than I did, or you didn't want to listen to things, and then you're sitting up here saying, it's like, yeah, I see why you're not ever going to get called up. You know, I see why, whatever. You're just hard-headed, you know, and you know, but like our travel was the same. We were on the bus. You know, we took long bus trips. You know, we didn't eat that great. You know, honestly, there's probably times even in college that the travel is better. But I think it's different now, because now I think most of the teams in the D League now are affiliated with an NBA team.
Yeah,
so
they're
I
getting
think
more
the travel
resources
is a
now.
little bit better. The food's a little bit better. I think the pay is better. Things like that. I think, you know, when I was there, we were affiliated with the Celtics, the Sixers, and the Charlotte Hornets. So, like, we were a hybrid team.
Right.
Win the Big East Player of the Year award by an even more unanimous vote. As we told you earlier in the news, Marshall ended months of speculation.
I'm a big fan of this highlight package, including What a Man.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure we commented on
It was
that.
definitely of a time here. Shout out to Salt and Pepper. Come on the Retrocast.
But it also means there is now a scholarship available.
Everybody said, well, I'm sure you have another Donyell Marshall lined up. Yeah, he's right around the corner. I'll get him up.
Crazy person.
It really wasn't a solution. And quite frankly, and I'll be very candid with you, I think in September and October, as we were playing our recruiting, we didn't necessarily see a hardship situation. Certainly by January, February, we certainly saw them.
Marshall
That can
leads
be.
Campo Pavilion with more than a dozen school records and scores of
You want to know what's funny about this clip right here of me walking away after the press conference was I didn't have a driver's license yet. I didn't get my license at 16 because I never thought I'd be able to afford a car. Why would I have a driver's license for, just to show it for whatever reason? So I actually didn't get my driver's license until I was 21. It was like maybe a month before the draft. I actually got a car before I got my driver's license. But the thing that was funny, I mean, I drove though, but the thing that was funny is leaving that press conference, one of my friends rented a car to take me up there for that press conference. And it was actually a really nice rent-a-car. And I knew the media was going to be outside, so I told my friend to give me the keys to the rent-a-car so I could drive it off so the media thought that I had a car already for leaving for the draft. So they were all filming me, like, driving away in this nice car. And I told my family to meet me back at the dorm, and I'm just in the car just laughing. Like, they think that I had a car already.
That's amazing.
Amazing. I love that.
All right, well, Donyell, you've been a great sport. Thanks so much for joining us. Maybe we'll do this again, you know, like 10 more months of quarantine. We'll find another game. Maybe we'll watch the 20 free throws together.
No problem. Thanks for having me. It was fun. It's good to see memories and share them with you guys and share stories. So thanks for having me. It was really good.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. This was awesome.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Dimeback Retrocast. Until next time.